I am so excited to show you this car because it honestly is my favorite project car of all time. It's my 2002 Mercedes S55 AMG, and I think it's also the most inexpensive car that I have ever purchased. I paid just $1,200 for this car more than 11 years ago, and I'm going to explain to you exactly why it's so special, but I'm also here to let you know that I am selling this car, no reserve, on Cars and Bids, alongside 5 other of my cars, because quite honestly, I just have too many of them. And so this one has got to go along with several others. That'll be in a video on VinWiki, but I want to talk about why this car is so cool. Back in 2013, when we set the Cannonball record, I learned that there was kind of a different understanding of what a modern interpretation of Cannonball might actually look like. And so there was a group of guys led by John Ficarra doing an event called the 2904. And I got in touch with John after we'd set the record because he'd always wanted to race against Alex Roy and Dave Maher, who held the record before me, because he wanted to see how they could do in their cheap cars. Now, the premise of the idea of the 2904 is $1 a mile from New York to California. So just $2,904 had to cover the purchase price of the car, any repairs you had to do that were not safety related, any preparation, gas, tickets, anything that happens along the way. And so I thought this was an amazing challenge and a new group of this fraternity of lunatics to get familiar with and become friends with. And that is exactly what happened, all because of this car. So we ran it in 2015 in the 2904 and won. This car drove New York to LA in 32 hours and 2 minutes, setting the competitive event New York to LA record. So this was faster than any of the organized Cannonballs or US Express events, and I just absolutely loved it. I think I probably had more fun doing that than the actual drive for the Cannonball record, because there's a whole group of us doing it at the same time. So this car has been a blast, but for the last 5 years or so, it's spent pretty much all the time at the Miles Through Time Museum in Clarksville, Georgia, alongside the CL55. We pulled it out a couple of years ago, drove it 1,000 miles up and back to New York for the reunion of Cannonballers, but now it's here in the driveway, and that means it's also on the chopping block. But let's take it for a drive, and I'll show you around one of my favorite cars I've ever had. Now, before we get in and drive, I want to tell you about the 2 coolest things about this car, to me at least. The first is the patina. When I bought the car, obviously it's white, but it's really about 8 different shades of white, and the paint is failing in a variety of different ways, including this crackling effect across the trunk lid, which I've never really figured out exactly how to explain it. Obviously, most of the car has been repainted. Most of that paint work was pretty bad, but it's always looked like this. For the last decade, it's looked this bad. It got a little bit worse when it was parked outside for a year or two, but to me, it just looks so cool when people walk up to it. But the second coolest thing is what's right beneath this. And the trunk opens all on its own with its button, and there! Now, fuel is the biggest problem of prepping a Cannonball car. And one thing that I didn't love about the way the CL worked is that we had to use transfer pumps in order to migrate the fuel from the auxiliary cells into the main tank. Now, on an S-Class or a CL of these generations, rather than being beneath the trunk floor to allow gravity feeding, the factory tank is upright behind the rear seats. And that's exactly what we did here, except I just had a welder cut a window out of the back of the factory tank and put a huge box on it. So it is a single tank, about 74 gallons of capacity, 2 nozzles to fuel it, but we had to get through the salvage inspection, which I didn't know had to be redone since the title had already been rebuilt. And so we had to put some factory looking stickers all over it. And honestly, when the guy came out to salvage and inspect the car, he didn't know what he was looking at. And he just kind of like had a strange, confused look on his face and let it pass. And so I love this thing. It's so easy. We also didn't want to have the spare wheel sitting in the back seat, so we actually cut the trough for the factory spare out, which is obviously inaccessible, and hung the spare wheel from the supports for the fuel tank beneath the car. So if you need the spare, you just jack it up, pull it out from underneath, just like a pickup truck, put it on, and you're on your way. And so are we. Come on, air. It's a hot day here in Atlanta, so apologies for the shininess. Even after all these years and all that sitting, the car drives beautifully. It's got a check engine light on because the fuel tank is so large that even with its baffles, we do get some fuel slosh, and that can flood the charcoal canister, which then floods the secondary injection system. Rather than just shooting fuel vapors into the intake, it'll shoot some raw gasoline. So we have a vent at the top and bottom of the charcoal canister that honestly will sometimes jettison fuel out the side of the rear bumper. That was a last minute adjustment right before we drove this thing to New York. Now, my co-driver for the 2015 2904 was a guy named David Klink, and he was one of the people that worked at RBM North, our local Mercedes-Benz dealership that helped to prep the CL55 for the Cannonball record back in 2013. And so he had actually mentioned to me when I picked it up, he's like, you know, if you ever want to do one of these things again, I'd love to go with you. Now, that was very, very critical for the 2904 because you got to count everything that you spend making the car work. So he was able to do all the servicing and things like that to make sure that the car was ready. Now, we fit this within the $2,904 budget. However, everything that you spend that is safety related can be beyond that. So making the active body control, hydraulic suspension, that is the greatest thing for AMG cars when it comes to Cannonball, because it levels out the fuel load several times a second and makes it drive like there's not an extra 300 pounds in the trunk. So that was all totally gone through and serviced and updated, and it still is perfect. The CL, when it sits, sags. This thing doesn't. The car drives like it would have $100,000 ago. So I ended up spending in total about $16,000 on this, which was a small percentage of the total budget for the Cannonball record. But to go 32 hours in one of these things, which was right at like a 90-mile-an-hour average, really, really impressive. And so that was obviously on the fuel cell, brand new tires, brand new brakes, brand new suspension, doing everything that we could to make the thing work as well as it could. Now, shortly before we left, we also ran into the worst case scenario repair requirement on one of these cars when you can't spend any money on parts. Essentially, the key, the ignition switch in the dash, and the shifter are all connected. And if one of them breaks, everything's got to be replaced. And the ignition switch in the dash failed. So what that meant was we would have had to buy that part, which was several $100s, would have put us over budget, and get everything else. And even from a junkyard to get all three things, which would have then ruled out the possibility that the door locks ever work again and stuff like that, was going to be a problem. And so Klink was able to resolder the broken connections, something that apparently had never been done to fix one of these cars, and he got it back running again on all of the original things and didn't put us over budget, which was going to be like a minute per dollar penalty for whatever we went over. So that was amazing. But having learned all that we did from the Cannonball record made this car as good and as cool as it is. We had the full back seat so we could lay down with no wheel in the way, larger nav systems, everything built in a little bit more cleanly. We had, at the time, I think it was a 3G iPad with a Bluetooth module, obviously CB radio. Now we had to count all the countermeasures. And so like the laser jammers and the radar detectors that are in this car are actually things that our local shop Cartoons had replaced or like updated from other cars. So they were all like one generation old, but we were the only real car that had all that stuff set up. Now that is the race where I met Arnie Toman, and he brought his P71 Black Turd, his Crown Victoria, and thought that he was going to run the tables. But shortly before the event, in order to kind of let people go ahead and audit everything that I had done to make this car work for the event, I released a big blog post on my personal website that went through every single thing that we did. And he told me it was like the worst day of his life because he'd been working just as hard, but didn't imagine that anybody would go to the extent that I had to do this. Obviously, in all of his future attempts, he went well beyond that. But that was a wild, wild time, and I barely beat him. And honestly, I didn't realize this until we got there, but my main co-driver, a guy named Chris that I'd known for years out of Ohio, had always wanted to do one of these drives with me as well. But when we got there, he's like, well, Ed, I have a CDL. Like, I cannot get a ticket. I'm comfortable going like 10 to 15 over, but I'm not going to go really, really fast. And I'm like, well, dude, that's going to be a big problem. We're here to race. And so he drove about 5% of the time while we were in traffic. Klink drove about 15% of the time, and I drove the other 80% of the time, sleeping as much as I can. Oh, and I had food poisoning for that run. And so it was a dramatic 32-hour run, but a super, super cool thing. And I remember coming up against it because we only beat it technically by 2 minutes. We really beat it by 5, but the way John accounted for it is when he got the message, and there was a couple minute delay. We ran 32:02, official time 32:05, but we were beating 32 hours 7 minutes, and that was the fastest time from the 1983 US Express, David Diem and Doug Turner. And so really just a crazy finish through Redondo Beach. We ran all the red lights. It was the middle of the night, nobody cared. No, we did pass one cop and he flashed the lights at us just to slow down. But yeah, that's the kind of sleepy little beach town that you can love in Redondo Beach. Now, the backstory around the purchase of this car was also wildly entertaining because I bought it on Craigslist Las Vegas, but the car was in Los Angeles, not running. Now, it was really just electrical, but what had happened was this woman had loaned the car to her daughter to drive from Vegas to Hollywood to become some famous actress, and it had broken down, so she didn't become famous. It went to some buy here, pay here lot and got bought and sold a bunch of times. 2 accidents, 12 owners later, I was able to buy it, but the hardest thing was convincing her that I really wanted to buy a car from 2,500 miles away in Atlanta, not running, and knowing that I'm gonna have to ship this car dead home. But shipping didn't count against my budget, and so I talked her into it, and it showed up. It had to ride the whole way up with the window down because that was broken. But honestly, Clint got it all sorted out, and over the course of about 6 months, it became what I think is the greatest prepared Cannonball car of its generation. Certainly things have outdone it since then, but I love what this car is, and I know that the next owner will love it just as much. And that's really why I want to sell it now, and that's why it's going no reserve on Cars and Bids, because I want the adventures of this car to continue. I'd love to see somebody else cannonball it, somebody else take it on some epic road trip, because that is what these cars need to be doing. Now, of course, this being an 02 rather than an 03 or an 04 like the CL55 is the 5.4 liter naturally aspirated V8 with 355 horsepower rather than the supercharged motor that has 493. And so it only goes 154 miles an hour, at least fully loaded with all of us and all the fuel. But we cruised at 120, 130 pretty much the entire time, and the car did not miss a beat. Now, it's been maintained over the last decade by Cameron and the team at DC Motor Works, and he's the one that drove it up and back without issue to New York City a couple of years ago for the reunion that we did with some of the other Cannonballers. And so since then, like I said, it's just set, and it doesn't deserve that. It deserves another adventure, and I hope that one of you guys are the ones to do it. Now, Cars and Bids is the best enthusiast marketplace, especially for weird cars like this. My good friend Doug DeMuro started it years ago, and it's been such an awesome thing to see take shape. They're coming up on $1 billion in cars sold on the platform, and they love AMG stuff, they love cars of this vintage, and so this and all the other stuff that I'm throwing up there is going to be in its element to that audience. And so if you're not currently a registered bidder at Cars and Bids, go over there now. I'll have a link in the description below for you to sign up, bid early, bid often, and hopefully one of these cars can be yours. I don't know why the airbag light's on. That's not something to worry about, but the active body control works exactly as it should. All the power seats, everything else works. I think the massage seats might even work, but I'm not promising you that. It also has this super cool and very rare Brabus steering wheel. For this generation of S-Class is ultra hard to find. It still has the Passport laser jammer installed, and we actually had a rock hit one of the heads, so the front left one's dangling. You're welcome to reattach that. In a merge, I actually clipped a construction barrel on the right side, so the marker light on the side mirror is broken. But, you know, I haven't tested everything lately, but it all worked back then. It's all worked several times since then, so I cannot wait to see where this car ends up next. I've also had the team from the Lemon Squad inspect every car, so if you look at the listings, you will find a comprehensive inspection from one of their professional trained mechanics on each of the cars, so you know exactly what they are without having to take my word for it.